Hey, it's Aaron on autos.com, and today I'm sitting in a 2021 Cadillac Escalade. This is in the four-wheel drive Platinum Edition. It is the, as far as I know, topmost Cadillac you can buy. It is a beautiful, beautiful SUV. So, what I'm going to do now is my interior walkthrough. This is going to be kind of lengthy. I'm going to focus largely on the front seat driver's position. I am not going to, I'll show you a little bit of the back and stuff, but I'm not going to go into everything that's back there. Just know that there are tons of USB ports. There's a 110 outlet in the very back. There's lots of cargo options and everything else back there in all three rows. So wonderful, wonderful setup. But again, I do not have, I will be here all day. If I go through every single feature this has, I am just going to focus on what's up front, which in itself is a lot of stuff. This is heads and shoulders and possibly an entire somebody standing on somebody else's shoulders above what the previous generation Escalade was. And the previous generation Escalade was very good. So sorry, I have to apologize for the lighting. We had a lot of snow in a very short amount of time, and so I'll just show you out that window. That's my front yard. I had to dig, can't really see it, but I had to dig 2 feet of snow just to get out of the driveway, okay? And so places to park and maneuver and get around so that I can have better lighting in here, really just not realistic or possible. So this is what I got. This is what we'll have to work with. All right, let's get going. So we'll start out. I want to start out where I usually do. Here's your doors and windows and etc. I'm not going to go into detail. It's pretty clear what they do. So here's your seat memory settings down here. This right here turns off or discontinues, I guess, the rear seat alert. So if you open and close the back door, it will alert you when you park that there might be something in the back seat to be aware of. So just a little convenience button there. I really don't use it, so whatever. Heating and cooled. So you got heated and cooled seats right here. You can see the two different types of heating. Here's the door locks. Here's the door handle. And then going this way, this is the drivetrain controls. So you have auto, which is sort of like all-wheel drive. Okay. Then you have two-wheel drive. This being a rear-wheel driven vehicle by default. This is 4 high, and then you see you have like off-road modes. This is hill creep or climb. This is like off-road mode. You can go through them, and then this raises and lowers the suspension. Now, by factory default, if you have this installed, the suspension will lower to its lowest point when you park. So as soon as you put the vehicle in park, it starts to lower that suspension to make it easier to get in and out. This is a large SUV. Down here you got the park brake. Push it to set it, push it to release. Trailer brake controls, because this does have very good towing as part of its design. It is basically a truck design. And then over here is your dimmer. So that's all of that. It's pretty simple. Here's the first of the vents. Now, before we get into all these screens, I want to talk about the steering wheel. Then we'll get into those screens. So over here on the steering wheel, you got the Caddy symbol right in the middle, big and prominent. They redid it. It's a little different now. Some of you may or may not have noticed that. Over here, you got cruise control sets here. Pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. Turn it on here, turn it off here, set and reset up and down. Steering wheel heat right there. This is your following distance for the cruise and the crash avoidance system. So if you don't have cruise set and you use this, it changes sensitivity on crash avoidance. Over here is your voice controls. They're not that great. They're still the old school kind of clunky walk through the menus with a lot of yes and no's kind of thing. But worst comes to worst, you got that. I will say that it works pretty good if you switch over to Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Over here is the in-cabin speaker system. This is a really cool setup, really cool idea. So there are inputs through in the third row and the second row, as well as up front here, that work like Bluetooth speakers, right, when you're making a phone call. You hit this and it turns all of those on and then pipes people through the stereo system, not too loudly, but loud enough to go over the top of whatever music or whatever might be playing, and it makes conversation in a regular tone really easy. Very, very cool. You don't have to yell anymore. You can just use this. Everybody can talk at a normal level. Everybody can hear everyone. Nicely, nicely done. It saves the driver turning around and yelling and any of that stuff. And because it's there as a hot button, it saves you going through all the other menus trying to find it. Now, on this side of the steering wheel, we've got mostly infotainment controls. So driver information stuff happens on this a little bit, and phone pick up and hang up on over here, and then over here this toggles music immediately, so you can switch this to run your music if you want to. This goes up and down through tracks. Down here you got mute, over here you got volume controls. So nice little setup, pretty well done. Here's the first of the inlay. This wood is beautiful. I'm going to show you a lot more of that. You got some paddle shifters on here. We got dongles. This one right here, you turn this to run the back, up and down for the front windshield washers and back window washer, and then the pull it towards you to squirt the front, push it away from you that way to squirt the back. Over here you got signal turns and lighting controls, so you can see here's the mark right there. Right now it's on auto. You can turn them off like that, and then you can turn them on whatever. And then you have assisted high beams, pushing that button, and then back and forth for regular high beams, and the other paddle shifter right here. Now let's look at some big screens. First, let's start with this instrument cluster. I'm gonna hold it back a little bit so you can get the whole thing. So this is a virtual screen, clearly, big LCD. I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's around 12 inches. 12 inches. So on the big, I'm going to refrain from making any sort of reference because I really want to. All right. On this screen, you can see this is the default, so it is the regular driving around screen. Down here you got a tachometer, here's your speedometer, here's some information about what's going on in the world around you, so you can see it's a big 19 degrees outside. Feels a little warmer than that because it is really sunny today, which is nice. Over here, this is what's going on the radio. You can change this, it can be the map or anything else, but right now it's on the radio. Again, use this to page up and down if you want to change that, right? So here's some menus. I can change stations, I can turn off the music, and I can change where I'm getting it from, etc. So pretty neat there. And then some other things. Here's the fuel gauge. This is not terribly fuel efficient. I did do a fuel test. I did a highway loop before the weather hit. My average for the week has been about 13 miles a gallon, but that's been a lot of four-wheel drive to get through this snow. See how much snow there is out there? It's been a lot of four-wheel drive to get through this snow, and it's been just a lot of driving around town for the 155 I think miles I put on this so far. We'll see that in a minute when I look at the trip. So there you go. That's kind of what's going on over there. You can change that around a little bit if you need to. Now, to control this screen, you use this little screen. Now, this little screen is pretty dang cool. It's about the size of your smartphone. And you can see right now I have it on the road trip information. So here's my info for the week. Now, on the highway, I was able to get, what was my max? A little over 16 miles a gallon. This is rated, I believe, at 19, but again, very high altitude and crosswind. 6.2 liter V8 in this, by the way, and a wonderful 10-speed automatic. If that sounds familiar, it's in a lot of General Motors trucks. So anyway, there's my driving mileage and so on. Now down here, if I hold that button, I reset all of this. That's just an FYI. You can also do that, like swipe it. There's the second trip, and that's it, because there's only 2 on here. So pretty neat there. Now if I push this, I change I can change what's going on in that screen. So you can see you got gauge, map, AR camera, AR means augmented reality, and night vision. The only one I can't show you right now is night vision, but I'll point you to a video my friend Tim Esterdahl at Pickup Truck and SUV Talk did. That is a really good illustration of this, and it's kind of funny. Him and his wife went hunting for wabbits using the night vision camera. So I'll just point you over there. Anyway, here's this screen. I'm going to go through what those are. So on the map, you end up like this. It shows you this huge, that's through the steering wheel like this, right? There's the map. So you can drive around, do whatever you want, and if you have turn by turn on or anything like that, boom. Really, really cool. Now the AR camera, right now it's not going to look very impressive, but when the light is coming down this way and it's hitting you straight in the face because you're driving towards the sun, this is awesome because it doesn't have that glare. So you can look down here, you can see street lights, street signs, you can see pedestrians better, all of that. So very, very nicely done, wonderful. And then you can see your speed stays up at the top and the gauges on the bottom don't go away either. Night vision's not going to work. It's going to tell me it's daytime, but night vision works similar to that previous screen, but with night vision enhancement. So it's showing you what's going on. The camera on the front that runs all of this is very well done. And then going back over here, you can see I also have control of the head-up display. There is one on this, and then this goes to the brightness and settings for that night vision, and then back to where we were. Really cool screens and setup, and surprisingly amazingly useful. So that's what I got for that. I really like it. I'm going to put it back on the gauges so we can see those. Really like that though, and I'm glad that it works so well. Now let's look at infotainment, because that's the other big screen I made. No references. A little over 12 inches, pretty large. You can see my camera set up there too, see, for the Mi Cam. So, anyway, so pretty straightforward. If you've seen a General Motors screen, then you've probably seen this before. It's pretty straightforward. Similar to what you'll find in all of their pickup trucks and any other large SUV from GM. Over here is kind of like your main menu. Doesn't really change, doesn't go away, stays there almost all the time. Here's the home screen, which is what we're looking at now. This goes to music. You can see it's muted. And then maps and navigation, phone stuff, and vehicle information. Pretty straightforward on that. Now, over here, same things. This is the main things you're going to be using right there. You can change users, which can... normally it would follow a key fob, but you can just change it because you can say, look, I know I got my wife's key fob, but it's me driving. I want my settings. And you go ahead and do it in there. Following the key fob means that things like seat position and radio preferences and all of that are yours individually. Now, down here there would normally be Apple CarPlay if you had that connected. I do not. It is wireless. So is Android Auto, which I've also disabled for this because I'm doing video. Over here is trailering stuff. Trailering stuff is pretty straightforward. You can set up a trailer, you can go through stuff. I'm not gonna go through all of that, but there are plenty of tutorials to find out how to use that. Really, really good stuff. OnStar services, if you happen to be a OnStar member, I would recommend that you do that. You'll have things like the marketplace. I don't remember what they call it in here, and you can have a Wi-Fi hotspot in here. That's the Wi-Fi for this. So if you ever happen to be around this vehicle, go ahead, hack and use the Wi-Fi. I don't care. But anyway, you can call for advice, have your map set, stuff like that, and your account info, and so on. Over here you have some settings, and over here is the automated parking assist. Really useful in a vehicle of this size, but a couple of problems. One, in parallel park, or in perpendicular parking, it will choose any spot it fits in. That means that at one point when I was testing this in a parking lot, it parked between two vehicles like this, so it went right into that spot. But then looking out the mirror, I have less than a foot of room to open my door and try to climb out of this thing. This is a very large SUV, so just because it fits in the spot doesn't mean that's the spot you want. Luckily, if you can visually see that, you could just keep driving by the spot, ignore the parking prompts, and find another spot. But still, a little bit of an annoyance. They're not taking into account how much space the vehicle needs for you to get in and out. But parallel parking is probably where most people are going to be using this park assist, and for that, wonderful. You have really good visibility in this, so you can see really well getting in and out, but that just makes it so much better and faster. So you know, it makes you feel a little safer because, again, it's a very large vehicle, so it can be intimidating to try to parallel it. All right, so there's that. Now, that's most of the infotainment. Now, there are other screens. You can swipe through them. You can see the cameras. You can see apps. You can see where I can do rear climate, things like that. It does have Alexa capability, so you can set up your Amazon with it. My Cadillac is basically my Chevrolet, but for Cadillac. So there you go. You can do things like order some Dunkin' Donuts, stuff like that, and set up your roadside and so forth. Now on this screen, it's just a bigger version of the other screen, stuff that you're probably using the most often. You can set this to be your home screen, but I've been perfectly happy with this as a home screen because honestly, these are huge icons. You can see, let me use my thumb as a reference. You can see how big that icon is. They're highly visible and visible all the time, so no reason to screw around with it. Now, coming down here, here's another vent, and then you can see these are climate controls. When you remote start, defrosts automatically come on and a few other things, but when you do it by hand, when you're running it, you can run all the stuff from here. You can change a few things. So here's your settings. I have it turned off because it is well, it interferes with the microphone. So here you have, obviously you have both sides here, so you can sync them. You also have rear. To get to the rear on this, the easiest way that I have found is to go up there and do it, but you can do it through, I believe it's this fan button, but I would recommend just using the menus up there. Much easier. People in the rear have their own climate controls, so you know, you only really need to be able to control it from here if grandma's back there and can't figure out the controls, or you don't want your kids doing it. Those are your options. Now, shifter right here, getting more and more BMW-like in the shape and size. Up here you can see hill hold, auto stop start, and lane keeping. Those are the toggles for those. Here you park by pushing the button, you shift and move with this. So you push this side button, move it back and forth. This is a control for the infotainment screen. It is a control knob, so you can use that if you're more comfortable with that than you are with touch screens, or if you're driving and the touch screen just feels like you're going to hit something wrong. I don't know why you would. The icons are huge. Over here is volume control. You can also push it back and forth for track skipping, phone, and music control there. Nav and other quick buttons here, and Duke's lights. Now right here you got drink holders, right? You got the bougie cover with this beautiful wood. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh, I love this. Cadillac knows how to do some wood inlay, let me tell you. Over here is your drink things. Up here is kind of a cubby. I've been just dropping my phone in there. Here's some USBs. More wood inlay. Look at all this. It's so awesome. So pretty. Another thing I would change, I would not get this beige interior because that floor gets dirty like that. But beauty. Now, this has an option. First off, let me show you this. This is a wireless charging port, so you can drop your phone in there and charge it. Down here, this is a cooler. It's an option. I don't remember what it costs. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't terribly expensive. But this works as a cooler. You can stack, not a six-pack, but you can get maybe 6 drinks in there if you stack them on top of each other in cans. And it works as a cooler. You turn it on and off with this button. Here's some USBs. This is the maps. And then that turns the plug at the rear of the vehicle on and off. You have a 110 outlet. Just a wonderful setup. This has huge screens for entertainment in the back. But like I said, I'm going to gloss over the back because there's just way too much. I would be here all day. We've already been here for 20 minutes. And I haven't even touched on like the controls that are up here. I haven't talked about the panoramic sunroof. I haven't talked about the, holy crap, is it awesome audio system in here. I will show you on the backs of the seats, you might notice those little speakers. Those create sort of a sound shield. So this makes like a little sound shield around your head. So if the people in the back are doing something different, watching a movie or listening to some different kind of audio, you don't have to listen to it. You can have your own thing happening up here. It's friggin' brilliant. But anyway, beautiful, beautiful car. I'll do a full review of this, so you'll see like the, lots more details. I'll show you the Monroney in that big review, all of that stuff. But for now, tons of cargo, tons of comfort, beautiful setup. I didn't even get into seat massage. There's seat massage as an option in this. Just wonderful setup. It's so great. Really comfortable, really good to drive. Again, heads, shoulders, and probably the torso above the previous generation Escalade. So nicely done. That's what I got. This has been Aaron. Talk to you again soon.
Subscribe.